Hey everyone, this is Kevin from thechesswebsite.com, and today we are previewing the Canada's Tournament 2020, my favorite tournament of the year. These players have been trying to qualify for this tournament for the past 2 years. It only comes around every 2 years. The winner will go on to face Magnus Carlsen later in the year for the World Championship. We're only a few days away from the start of this tournament. As of today, recording this video, the tournament's still on. There's not a lot of other stuff going on right now. But the chess tournament goes on as we know it, so I expect everyone to be watching all of the chess videos that we put out here. But extremely excited about this field of 8 competitors. We're going to go into each of the competitors, how they qualified, and then I'll give some interesting feedback on each of them, just so you know who is going to be up in this tournament. Also let you know who I'm cheering for, who I think will win. And then we'll also get into the structure of the tournament as well as the schedule so everyone is prepared for the videos that I will be putting out. But it does start on March 17th. These are the 8 competitors. We'll go through one by one. The first one is Fabiano Caruana. He is second ranked in the world, only behind Magnus Carlsen. He won this tournament 2 years ago. He is representing the United States, and you can see how he qualified was back in 2018 when he won this. Now, when he went on to face Magnus Carlsen in the World Championship, they drew every single round. So he didn't lose to Magnus Carlsen in the standard event. Now, they did go on to Rapid and Blitz, and he lost 3-0 to Magnus Carlsen. So that is how he lost, but he tied all 12 games to Magnus Carlsen. He's a phenomenal player, definitely has the best odds to win the tournament, and he will be the player that I will be cheering for most in this tournament. Next competitor is Ding Lian. He is the number 3 ranked player in the world representing China. He qualified by being a top 2 finisher at the Chess World Cup last year. And this is a player that really does not lose very often. Had a streak of 100 games from August 2017 all the way to November of 2018. Remember, these top players, they're playing a lot of the biggest tournaments. That's how they're making their income. That's how they're increasing their rating. You're not going to be increasing your rating if you're not playing good opponents. So going 100 games over a year span is pretty incredible. But in these type of tournaments, the round robin, which we'll get into the structure here in a little while, it's not just about not losing. You definitely have to be winning a lot of your games. But Ding Lian, definitely a strong competitor in this tournament. The next one is Alexander Grischuk. He tends to be at the top of all of these tournaments. He's the 4th ranked player in the world representing Russia. Tournament is being held in Russia. Qualification method, top 2 finisher in the Grand Prix last year. He was the top. The next person we'll be looking at was number 2, both from Russia, but has had just a hot streak in the last 2 Grand Prix. Was near the very top, if not winning both of those rounds in the Grand Prix. So he comes in with the hottest record as of late. We'll see if he can turn that into a victory in the Canada's tournament. Right behind him is Jan Nepomniachtchi, world rank number 5. He also was a top 2 finisher in the Grand Prix, right behind Grischuk. He's also representing Russia. You can see his rating of 2777. This is my pick, the dark horse to win the tournament. He also has one of the best records against Magnus Carlsen. And while I will be cheering for Fabiano Caruana, last year looking at the 12 games, all draws against Magnus Carlsen, I do think it would be exciting if we had a player that historically had done extremely well and that could go toe-to-toe and actually put some pressure on Magnus Carlsen to not just draw it out and then go into the Rapid and Blitz games. So definitely, this is kind of my second player that I will be rooting for in the tournament. Next on the list is MVL. You can see he is the 8th ranked player in the world, rating 2767. He's representing France, but his qualification method is a bit different. He is actually replacing a player, Timur Rajnavov, who backed out of the tournament. Did qualify, but decided not to play in the tournament. MVL, he has tried so long to get into this tournament. Last time in 2017 at the end of the year, thought he was going to qualify, ended up not, and so did not get to play in the tournament in 2018. And this year he was just a tad bit short of making it, but then when Timur backed out, he was able to take his place based on his rating. And when we say rating, it's not just at this time. They do look at an extended period of time, and they look at your rating every single month, and then they average it out, and that is how they look at the rating. Which also brings us to the next player, and that is Anish Giri. He's the world-ranked 11th player right now. You can see he had the highest average rating that didn't qualify. But this is, again, based on an extended period of time, looking at the average over months. This is the lowest rating he's had of 2763 over, I think, the last 14 or 15 months. So he's had a really strong performance for a very long time. He's representing the Netherlands. It would be pretty funny if he won this tournament just from the banter that you would see back and forth. If anyone follows him and Magnus Carlsen on Twitter, they usually have some pretty funny exchanges back and forth here. This player tend to be that type of player that draws a lot. He played in the 2016 Canada's tournament, and he drew all 14 games. Every single game, it was a draw. So that's kind of a lot of the jokes that you'll see online, is the fact that he does a lot of draws. We'll see what that looks like, since not going to be a lot of handshakes, I would imagine. What they do if they want to draw. Maybe it's just a head nod. Maybe they touch elbows. We will see. Next on the list, we have Wang Hao. He is the world-ranked number 12th player in the world. Rating 2758, country China. You can see the qualification method. He was the top finisher in the Grand Swiss. Actually beat out Fabiano Caruana and Magnus Carlsen. And this is at the end of last year. So although he is only the 12th ranked player in the world, he has a lot of fighting in him. He has faced off against some of the top players in the world and have beaten them. So definitely looking for him to make a splash here. Not the most known player. He did say in his latest interview that he's not friends with Ding Lian, which, you thought don't have to be from the same country, but it was interesting that he made it a point to make sure that people knew that they were not close friends. And then lastly, we have Khalil. He is 39 ranked in the world, rating of 2704, country Russia. Qualification method, this was a wild card. There's always a wild card. It's generally going to be someone from the country that's hosting it. He is Russian, and so that's why they chose him. He is the youngest player in the field, 22 years young. Very, very talented player. You can see not much off the rating of some of the other players. Just does not have the experience as the rest of them. But definitely expecting a strong showing from him. We'll see if he can actually compete with the big boys. So let's go ahead and get into the schedule. The tournament starts on the 17th, as I mentioned. This is a round-robin tournament, which means every player is going to play everyone else twice. So there's going to be 14 games. You're going to play one player with the white pieces, and then eventually you'll play them with the black pieces. They're going to play 3 days in a row, and then they're going to take a day off. They're going to play 3 days, then take a day off, and they're going to continue that. The time controls, if you're looking at the rules, they start with 100 minutes. That's going to be for the first 40 moves. As soon as they cross the 40 move mark, they're going to get an additional 50 minutes for the next 20 moves, and then they'll have 15 minutes for the rest of the game. They will be adding on 30 seconds per move. But that is the time control that we have going on in the game. There are some tiebreakers. If we get to that point, I'll make sure I mention those in the video. But my guess is we won't end up in the tiebreaker. We'll see, though. But yeah, March 17th. Make sure you mark your calendars. Definitely expecting everyone to be watching all of the videos. There's not too many other things that you should be watching at this time. I'm expecting a very, very good tournament. These players, if you've listened to the interviews and have followed them, they've been preparing quite a bit. So excited to see how this ends up. Thank you guys so much for watching the prep video. Hopefully you're as excited as I am, and I'll see you guys in a couple days for round 1.